Alright, so Light Summoner's Road has been out for a few days now. And given that I, personally, am a great, good, decent GS player, and having hours of experience, I figured why not make a guide? Or not really a guide, more like a how-to. Now, Fangyan, I'm not gonna say he's definitely difficult, but he's not like insanely difficult, right? Like he's not impossible to defeat. Obviously, he can be defeated, but rather than being an extremely difficult boss fight, this is more of just an annoying boss fight. So it's just one that just takes forever. It sucks, but you just gotta do what you gotta do. So of course I could read all of this, but I'm a GS player, so I'm not going to. And rather than trying to sit here and strategize, I'm going to actually show some in-game footage of me beating this boss. Now, this is the team that I use to beat this boss, right? You know, Lisa, Thetis, Emperor, and of course, War God Fen. And of course, my first video that I put out, I didn't really do well. I did well, but I didn't beat it as fast as I would have wanted to. And that was a few factors that I didn't actually consider beforehand. So I'll explain those right now, actually. When I recorded it, I had Emperor in the first slot. So it was more like, hold on a minute, just like Emperor was there because Fangyan's a god. So I figured, hey, being the first slot, you get the God Killer passive, and all's well. No, it doesn't really work like that. Well, of course, Emperor's getting that damage, but there's Eden to consider. And Eden permanently decreases your attack. So rather than have Emperor in the first slot, the third slot is in my experience, the best slot to actually have him in. Because even though Eden's debuffing you, you're at least maintaining some level of attack power, which is one of the biggest detriments to teams that I see. And of course, the biggest detriment to my team that I posted. So I know a lot of the times people hear like, oh, too much attack up gives you diminishing returns. And that is true. But that's when you're trying to like infinitely stack attack. Like Marzex, for example. He has diminishing returns. So no matter how much you stack that attack, there's going to be at some point, there's a cap, there's a limit to it, even though it doesn't say in game, where if you keep doing it, it's eventually just not going to yield any results. But having, I'd say about 100 to 200% attack up is pretty basic, pretty normal. That's one of the reasons why War God Fen is able to hit so hard, because he gives himself 100 attack right out. So all of his equips can be focused on just purely damage, and this guy, as GS players know, this guy deals a lot of damage. So yeah, right here, increasing that attack by 100% for 40 seconds, which is very important, very crucial for this. Now, before I did a sustain where I basically, went through Fangyan the normal way, but with this team, with a specific setup and specific timing, you're actually able to skip some of Fangyan's thresholds. So I'm gonna get right into that right over here. So right off the bat, Eden's main passive that you want to worry about here is the lower your HP, the more damage you deal. Now, I took that as, of course, being maybe if you're at like 20 or 10% HP, you're basically good to go. No, what it really means is that if you're not at 1 HP, you're missing out on basically all of your attack power. So, of course, there's also the Burning Sword Fighter, which I purposely allowed myself to be burned here. And the reason is because the damage over time effect that Eden applies to your units only lasts for up to 10 to 15 seconds. So after that, of course, Lisa's Smart Skirt keeps healing Emperor to keep him above the 1 HP threshold, otherwise, he dies. But also inadvertently heals War God Fen and Lisa to the point where they can't deal damage at all. So you get stuck here, you get too many attack debuffs, you're screwed. So that's why I allow myself to get burned. Now, of course, you don't have to, let your units get burned. But I just did it because for me, it's just easier. I prefer it that way. But of course, to each their own. Don't take too much of this for granted or whatnot. So, of course, after that, you managed to defeat him, and then you get to Fangyon. Now, Fangyon himself, I'm not going to talk about the opening too much. You're going to see pretty soon I'm going to use all of my defense equips. And that's because right frame 1, when you go right into Fangyon, he will completely feint all of your units. Like frame 1. There is nothing you can do as soon as you reach Fangyon stage. So when you have a taunt tank, you got to use all of those equips as soon as you possibly can. As you see here, I'm like taking my time to try to time it right, so that way I actually have all of them active. And also, it would be a good idea to refresh your taunt tank's taunt, because this feint does last for about 10 to 15 seconds. So, and of course, more importantly, you're going to want mostly equips or defense equips that last for a decent amount of time. Most of the time, defense equips that last for a long time, usually they don't provide as much damage res, but of course here Thetis is able to actually survive, although my heart was pounding out of my chest because he got really close to death right there, because he got burned. With this comp, you'll notice I don't have Mirror Hood, so I don't have any form of like burn res. So the only way burn is getting treated is by Thetis using his true art. So while that can be a bit of a detriment, it's not too bad, because of course, you know, Thetis can heal it back up with enough Arcage on the team. So after that, you just gotta pray for the RNG gods. This is where Fangyon becomes far more annoying than difficult, because you can't control that. And as you see right here, I actually skipped some of the phases. I'm going to get into that right now too. So normally my first video, I played through it where I went through every single phase. Every single marker that just went black, I let him basically heal back up to full. You don't have to allow that to happen. So when Fangyon uses his dark arts, you can actually, he loses his invincibility. So you, as you saw there before, War God Fen uses super arts, and he's able to just completely skip all of those phases. After this, once Fangyon reaches to 1 HP, he will not heal anymore. Now, there are a few nuke comps where they actually completely nuke him to where he gets to the 1 HP and you don't have to deal with any of the revives. I didn't get that here, but it is possible. So that's how people are able to quickly defeat Fangyon instead of having to go through each and every revive, which makes this a hell of a lot better, because, you know, the last time you've been there, the less you got to worry about, you know, losing, or less you got to, you know, worry about mistakes, because now you're in and then you're out. That's it. It's over. Now, Fen was still targeted by the dark arts, which permanently decreases your accuracy, and this is what I really don't like about it. It says that it permanently like decreases your accuracy, and it feels like a 20 to 30% decrease, not like some 10%. So if you get hit by like 3 or 4 of those, you're not going to be doing any kind of damage, because you're not going to be hitting him. Now, right here, as you see, we can reach the end part, and at this point, we've already won. Thetis already, or at least still has a revive on him, and all of his defense equips are ready. You really only need like Adam Askir and Joyeuse at this point, and he's able to just tank the entirety of this chore right here. This doesn't really, you know, this is not really like a threat. And after that, it's all over. We've won, and Fangyon is just out, done. So these were just a bunch of tips and tricks just to help people, you know, clear this boss. It's not really like too difficult, but it is extremely annoying because you're highly reliant on RNGs for like more than half the fight. So thanks for watching.